Mike, thanks for joining us. Welcome to our education podcast.
Thank you.
Where have you travelled from?
So, not too far away. I live just outside Market Wheaton, so it's only just over half an hour. So down the country road. So it's a nice
McDonald's roundabout.
That's exactly. We all know that roundabout.
Very familiar with that roundabout.
How bad that?
Yeah,
the world is like.
It
Used to be pubs, but now it's like McDonald's drive-throughs and different other establishments.
Like to just ask. We'd like to ask where they've come from. See who's got the longest distance. We've got some.
We should have a little competition run if that really. Who's the furthest traveller? But
anyway, I'm digressing. Mike, thanks for joining us today. In today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about education, a little bit about neurodiversity, linking the two together, your world around construction, because I think they're all linked very well. But what we do, as always, is just your backstory, really, who you are, who you work for, and just take it away.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm Mike Raven. My current position, I work with a organisation called Your Hub, which provides construction procurement solutions for education, for the public sector at large. I'm their performance improvement manager. So basically my job is going to see clients, talking to them about how best they can deliver their schemes for them. In terms of myself, I'm sort of a long-term public sector worker. Worked at East Riding of Yorkshire Council for many years. It's been a great employer for me. In terms of, I guess, getting a little bit more personal, which no doubt we'll dive into a little bit more, and for the topics of today, talking about neurodiversity. So I have autism, I've got attention deficit disorder, I've got other, anxiety, depression I've had diagnoses with over the years. And I also have a son with autism who attends a special needs school. So I've certainly got a lot of familiarity with neurodiversity. Very, very forward to say I'm not an expert. It's very much personal experience, but again, it's a topic that interests me, and I do a lot of reading and research about it for my own purposes.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, because it is, the reason we reached out was because of that, understanding the journey with somebody with neurodiversity, especially your lads, and understanding their challenges, I guess, within school, and as a parent, how how you try and navigate around that and things like that. Because you're right, it's not about you being the expert, you're the one living it. So, so from the outside point of view, you are the expert, because those that are not dealing with it don't always understand it unless you study it.
Yeah.
I've got nobody within my family as I know that's neurodivergent. Have you?
No.
So it's quite hard. So I thought, just get Mike on, because he'll come talk. And I know how open you are about it as well. That's amazing.
Educate,
yeah. You're not coming in and it's a bit different. You're very open. We've had podcasts before about it. You've been our hero, to be fair, when talking about it, especially within construction. But you might just be able to take us back a little bit then. We'll go in with schools, definitely. We'll talk maybe your journey within education and what that was like for you. Because was this something that came on later on in life, or is it something that you've been diagnosed with earlier on?
It's been interesting, actually. So myself, I was home educated, actually. So my parents made the decision for me not to go to school and to educate me themselves, which was interesting in a lot of ways. So they've just retired. In fact, they've run their own business for many, many years. So I used to help with the business. I used to do lots of academic work as well that they would put me through. But what you probably didn't get as a result of that was as much social interaction that you would normally expect to get through a school. Now, I always kind of had a feeling that there was something different about me. Something wrong, I would have termed it at the time, certainly. And I've seen various mental health specialists over the years. In my early 20s, I was diagnosed with anxiety. But I think it's interesting how neurodiversity has become more prominent and awareness of it has grown, because at that time, seeing a couple of therapists no one ever came and suggested that there might be something in terms of autism or another condition that I might have and might be the reason for it. And I do also think that maybe not having gone to school again, I wouldn't have been picked up by some of the normal checks and balances that the system would put you through. So certainly when I did go into education, so my first experience was going to Hull College, so doing further education. My growing up, my family wasn't particularly well off. It was on family credit, and my mum said to me, right, you're 15, either you get a job, or if you go to college, I get family credit for 3 more years. So it was, okay then, I'll go to college then, which was absolutely the best thing for me, because, you know, I needed some kind of qualifications in order to enter the workforce, but also the social interaction was something I desperately needed, actually. And it was a really difficult time because you suddenly, 16-year-old lad, you've got all these kinds of emotions and things going on, as we all do at that age. And you're in a building with 2,000 other teenagers just trying to work life out. And it was weird, and it was difficult. But I'm also very fortunate that, you know, I've made some friends right back from that time that I still see today. So it's been difficult in some ways, but also for me, that was my life. So I didn't really see any other way of doing it.
See any other different?
Yeah,
that's the thing, innit?
That's
you
the known. Yeah, I suppose that's it. It's fun. It's not funny at all. It's not the word I'm just trying to use it. It's not funny, but it's peculiar that like you have that mental reaction of that there's something wrong with you, and that's probably, like I say, there was less and there was such little sort of awareness back then. The immediate reaction, oh well, this is normal over here, and I'm the minority. But actually, you weren't the minority, and it was different, but like we are all different, aren't we? So yeah, it was. It's always quite fun because to sort of listen like that. Oh well, there's something wrong with it, but it's not wrong with you. It's a matter of fact that it's just something is different in how things are processed and things like that. So
yeah, definitely. And that's the back then. Even
why do we talk back then? We're not old. But Victorian times.
I'm 38, nearly 39 now.
Well old.
But even back then, there was no separation. Everyone was just together, and you lived that as well. It's like you get through.
Everyone was just
naughty kids. You got the good kids, but everyone's just together. Today, we have SEND provisions. We've got amazing work going on where children can learn. And I went to a SEND school recently to do some STEM work, and I look back and think, how did these kids ever survive in a mainstream school? But we would have had them within our setup.
Yeah.
It was incredible to expect them to have learnt the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how it was handled. I can say exactly how that was handled because I've got first-hand experience of like seeing things happen. It was sort of like naughty children classes.
Naughty children
created.
Classes,
So what was that about? What age are you then?
So I'm 42 now.
You're 40, so I'm 40. So a little bit on and down. So we are in the same period of schooling and sort of education. That was, and it was that sort of thing, and it was always that sort of like, well, why is the pupils in that class? Why do you bypass that class or at different levels? And I suppose it's how they best managed it that they thought at that time. But it's it was.
I wouldn't like it is today.
It was surreal. It was just sort of like accepting it, and so it should have been accepted. But I remember, like in assemblies where there would be disruptions, and you if I did it, you'd get absolutely scolded. Whereas other individuals did it, it was like, oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it, sort of thing. And it's like I wish there was more education at the time about the different sort of. Well, they didn't know, did they? I suppose, or they did know. It just wasn't very well. Educated back to everybody.
100%, and I think that's what's really interesting, that you've got a son that obviously is reliving your life, and I want to look into this thing a little bit about, you've come through it. You've come through it well. Yeah. Like, in all honesty, a lot would have struggled.
16, that's like, because were you quite an introvert person back then?
I was, and
because you could not now you come across very quite extrovert, open and chatting.
It's interesting how with time you build up a level of confidence, which at that time, absolutely. Wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was good academically, but talking to people really, really struggled. I was probably fortunate that the group that I ended up in at college was by and large a pretty supportive group. We got on quite well, and as I say, I was able to form some friendships as a result of that. But I mean, talking about my son, and it's been a very different journey. So Eden, we was aware from probably about 12, 13 months that there seemed to be some differences in his development compared to other kids. So at that time, we was engaging with the local council. At the time, we lived in Hull. To be fair to them, they were really, really good. They came back and said, we think there may be possibly autism with Eden. Straight away they put in support ahead of getting the diagnosis, so on the anticipation that he would receive a diagnosis, and then he did. Initially we tried to send Eden to mainstream, so he's in mainstream for 2 to 3 years, but he really struggled to engage with the class, engage with the learning, and I think fundamentally, I think regardless of whether you're neurodiverse or not, if you've got any kind of special needs or not, I do think that it's a real challenge for schools that the class sizes. When you're thinking of 30 kids that you've got a teacher trying to teach all at the same time, I mean, we wouldn't in the world of work give one person 30 people to manage. We would say that's far too many. Yeah. And yet we're expecting teachers to do this. So it's an amazing job that teachers do, and it's certainly not one that I could ever do. But we found that ultimately mainstream wasn't the right place for Eden. Again, the council was great in finding us a place at St Anne's initially in Welton, and then it's been moved to Hessel. I should say, for completeness, St Anne's was actually built by one of my colleagues, and it was procured through your hub. It's an award-winning project, so it worked out well. But it's given my son a fantastic facility, great teachers, small class groups, and when I look back, when he was preschool, we were thinking, are we ever going to hear a sentence out of him? That was his position at that time. He could say in single words. He could say drink. He could say a few numbers. Numbers is his big interest. Always has been. Always will be. And I used to dream of being able to have a conversation with him. Now you can have those chats with him. He's got friends. He's got a girlfriend. They go on dates, and you're like, I'm really pleased to see what the school has been able to do for him, to develop him and give him that chance of a full life, really. Because ultimately, and again, talking to Eden, he wants to live independently at some point. He wants to have a job. He wants to have just what everyone else does, really.
How old is he now? Sorry.
So he's 15 now.
15.
Yep. So we're starting to look at it. We're now, getting to the point of, does he go to college next year? Does he stay and do sixth form at the school? So we're looking at those kind of options at the moment with him.
And does it? As obviously, you must have lots of discussions with him. Did he feel different, like you had those feelings, or was he? Has he been so accustomed to being not managed, but so he's been in a system that's made him flourish. Has that meant that he hasn't had that sort of feeling of I'm different, or does he still?
I think it's. I think with Eden, because he's known, he knows he's autistic, and has done for years. He's more comfortable with it, and he he almost uses it as an excuse sometimes. But he'll say, well, you can't expect me to do this. I'm autistic. And you're like, no, mate.
What a guy. What a guy.
Yeah, because yes, he's autistic. Yeah. He's also a teenager. So sometimes he's like, no, mate, get off your bum and go and do this, do that, do the other. And he's capable of so much. I've had him help me at work. He's done all kinds of stuff for us.
Yeah.
And his level of focus is way beyond what you would imagine of virtually anyone. So again, his special interest is numbers. He makes YouTube videos, probably because I make YouTube videos, so he copies me. 1 year he made a video that was 50 minutes long, and it was all animated numbers from 1 to 1,000. And they put it on at school. So before the summer holidays, they put it up on a projector and had basically the whole school just sit there for an hour, watch this thing. And the teachers couldn't believe it, because all the kids were just silent. These kids are there trying to manage. And again, there's a whole range of special needs at St Anne's. They're all happily silent, just watching Eden's video. There's a banner above that someone's made saying Eden's number video, and the teachers loving it. They've got an hour off, while the kids are just spellbound,
mesmerised. Yeah.
So you think there's certain talents there, which that the ability to pay attention to and focus on a task for so long. I mean, this thing took him months to make, evenings and weekends plugging away on his iPad. You think there's got to be some really good opportunities for someone with those abilities, and it's about how you can unlock them for him.
Does I was going to talk about having you going through the journey. That must have been such a help for him, because if you've got parents that don't see it, they're just like, come on, just get on.
That
you've
unknown,
been back
isn't
at
it?
school. The fact you've lived it, you understood it really quickly. So you probably understood the challenges that he was seeing, and you were able to act on it really quickly.
I'd like to think so. Yes, and it's interesting. I don't disagree with you, Dan. It's interesting how much sort of lack of understanding that there is, even today, even when neurodiversity is a lot higher up in terms of awareness. But, I've had people say to me that there's nothing wrong with him, and again, no, there's nothing wrong with him, but they mean it as in he's being naughty. And you're like, he's not being naughty. He's on the verge of having a meltdown. And right now, the last thing he needs is X, Y, and Z. He's understanding. And again, fundamentally, regardless of whether you're neurodivergent or not, there are things that wind you up. There are things that we don't like, things that annoy us.
Triggers, so to speak.
Triggers. We all have our bugbears, whatever they are, the things that we just don't like. And if someone keeps poking those triggers, eventually you're going to react.
Yeah.
And if anything, Eden's more aware of that as an issue now, and he's got so much better at calming himself down, taking himself out of a situation where he might get triggered, reflecting on his behaviour and thinking, maybe I need to act differently in a situation. So it's a level of emotional awareness that I didn't have at that age, and I think a lot of people that wouldn't have at that age, maybe because they don't need to.
Emotional awareness is it's what it is, isn't it? What I found is, with some experience with people I know who have children in that sort of scenario, or that assessment process, seems to take a long time, and it's like it's really
I know what you mean.
It's like it must be exhausting.
One of the biggest issues, and it's not improved, is the effort that you have to go to as a parent to get what your child needs. And that's not because so a lot of it is with the local authority, a lot of it is with the NHS, and that's not because people aren't trying to help. That we've got really, really good teams in our councils and in our health services, with lots of expertise and knowledge and want to help you. But the trouble is the demand and the limited resources just make it really hard for people. So you end up...
Is that what it comes down to, you think?
I believe so, yeah. I think fundamentally it comes down to whoever's shouted loudest gets the support. I do recall, and again, sort of, probably Eden was 2 years old, something like that, and, what one afternoon thinking, how can I get him support? And at the time, I believe the plan was you had a key worker who would engage all the other services that they might need. But again, they're sort of under pressure and under resourced. So I ended up getting at the time a copy of the white pages as you have in Hull, and I literally sort of went through the white pages under the council section and under the NHS section, and any department that sounded like it might be of use, I phoned up, and some of them just went, "No, that's not us. We don't do that." But there was 3 of them that said, "Oh yeah, no, we can do this sort of assessment." Because again, Eden was having challenges sort of with his physical dexterity at the time. Spoke to one team that said, "Yeah, that's fine. There's tools and things that we can give you to make it easier for him to hold a pen and to do this and to do that." And it was simply just going to that level of effort that I had to do to get into those sorts of areas and to get that support that he needed. And it is it is difficult. I think everyone recognises it. There's no one sat on their hands thinking, I'm not going to help. But it's simply the pressure within the system is so great that people aren't able to get the support that they need. I kind of imagine that someone would say, okay, you've got an autistic son, he's got these needs, here's the support that you're going to require. And that's not what happens.
It sort of comes across, it's always quite a complex, it's never just one thing in these sort of circumstances. There's lots of little intricate details that sort of accumulate into a description, shall we say, or a label for something. And my saying that's what takes the time, because you say you've got to have so many people involved, and it's sort of tying the dotting the I's, crossing the T's. But like you say, is it a lack of skill setting, or is it just lack of people going into that sort of industry? And it's really difficult. It just seems to be delaying a lot of things, which could create great things, really.
I think there is a challenge when it comes to the coordination, because again, you're totally right, there's so many different areas and skill sets and professionals involved. It's the coordination and being able to get everyone together in an organised manner can be really difficult. And again, I work in construction, and I almost in a vague way link it to the challenges of a principal designer and a design team. And you see clients and contractors who are very reluctant to take on the principal designer role because of the legal issues around that and the risks of that. When in the end you just think, I need a person just to step up and go, I'm going to be in charge of this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make sure that everything goes okay. And yeah, it feels like that is a challenge in the system as well. But again, it's resources, I'm sure.
Yeah. With obviously SEND schools have come in quite a lot over the recent years. They were never really a thing. Back in the day, they were, but not as mainstream. But there's such amazing work done now. Full trusts are built, with SEND provision now. And I've been into a few, seen how they operate. Then when you made that transition and you got him in, did you work really close with the school then? And did you see a big difference quite quickly, or did it take quite a bit of time?
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, the biggest challenge when Eden was in mainstream was it was stressing him out, So, and if you liken it to being in a job that you don't enjoy. So he's spending, every day, Monday to Friday, in an environment that he's not enjoying. And so all the time he was stressed because he didn't want to go to school. He'd come back and he was stressed because he's had a bad day. and it would take him the weekend to unwind. And this is a 6-year-old with special needs. He would take all weekend to unwind to then get to a point where, okay, Sunday night, I've relaxed, I'm feeling better, but I'm going back to school in the morning. And it was just and it's a good school that he was at. Don't get me wrong; it was a good mainstream school, but they just weren't equipped, and they didn't have the resources again on the facilities to provide for Eden's needs. So when he went into the special needs setting, you're right. There was a lot of interaction between us and the teachers about Eden, what he likes, what he doesn't like, his triggers, and it's been really good that has continued. So I had this teacher ring me up yesterday because there was an issue and what went on. So I'm prepared for it, and I can help him sort of deal with it on the evening, and then he's happy to go back to school the following day.
It's like employment, isn't it? It's like, say, if you work all weekend and you're stressed all weekend about it, think about
going back on Monday morning. No, yeah,
you're going to move jobs.
Feeling,
right? You're going to find. But if you can't wait to get back in on Monday morning because you've had you're in an environment that you thrive in, and like I say, maybe not the opposite. I don't want to finish work on a Friday, but at least you've got that time. But you're not dreading going in on a Monday morning. Then you're gonna be a lot more involved and a lot more engaging and love it more, right? So yeah, it's typical play, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when I'd seen them in action, it's not like movies. When I'd seen the staff, when I'd seen the staff and how they operate within a sense school, it was incredible, and they cater for every individual. It's not almost. It is like a school setting, but everyone's got their own needs. So they almost had it was like one teacher per 3 pupils or something like that to allow them. We had some that were really struggling with anxiety, so they were able to take them out the room. And honestly, I was in this setting, I was just like, wow, this must be, they could learn so much. And I guess what they do is, it's not like traditional teaching. I don't know if you can explain a bit more what lessons are like, but do they try and focus on what their strengths are? So with Eden, will they maybe do lessons on his strengths rather than doing generic, let's talk geography? I hate geography, by the way, because I've got a U in it. So that's why I use it. A U is ungraded,
Isn't that just like, you turn up and probably get an E, don't you?
Not turn up. But that's just generic teaching. So his curriculum, the same as mainstream, or is it designed for him?
No, it's a lot more customised. It's not purely customised for Eden, but it's a lot more customised. So they again with the smaller groups, they organise them into specific sets and levels of ability, and they will certainly make the most of the pupils' interests to try and engage them. A lot of what they get also is independence and life skills. So with Eden and with his class, they'll take them to a supermarket for them to go and buy a treat. They'll do all kinds of activities like that with them, which again it's basic stuff. And there is the argument, well, why aren't the parents doing that? But it's fundamentally it's what the kids need, and that's great, you know.
Especially when they're there 5 days a week. There's no point saying the parents do it. They might as well be doing it at school. 100%. So how long has he been there since? And I'll take this back a little bit. Yeah. With the years, then do they run? Do they run the same as mainstream, year 7 to year 11?
Effectively, yes, although we don't really get told the years. So whenever people say, what year is your child in, I'm never quite sure, which makes me feel like I'm a really bad parent. But I'm just not, because they don't tell us, you're in year 10 now. It's, you're now in Chestnut class, or you're now in Hawthorne class.
Yeah. But Chestnut class, that is a proper typical school classroom, Chestnut class.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that are animals, isn't it? It's like hedgehogs and.
So you don't assign them to a year then. They just go through a journey.
Yeah, they do.
That's interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's just stigmatic, isn't it? It's always been like year groups, but actually, really, they blend so much now across, like in primary, especially year ones, year twos, and year threes, and year
to
fours.
Give just a reference, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, they'll go between the ages of 11 to 15. Then.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, so the school that he attends, they do everything from primary, secondary through to sixth form, and they are set up in like different parts of the school, so they will migrate through the school as they age and as they develop. But the curriculum is dependent on the pupil and their abilities. So with Eden, they are looking at putting him through his GCSE maths because that's his favourite subject, which is great. They put them through all other sort of equivalent qualifications as well. So they will get. There is a progression intended, So with Eden, we're having that discussion of does he go to East Riding College? Some of his classmates are going to East Riding College, so he's interested in going there. And again, we've been to see them, and they've. And again, thinking back to my experiences at Hull, which was a good college, I have no issues with Hull College, and part of me almost wants Ian to go there simply because I went and my dad went. But East Riding, they've got a great setup for kids who have come from places like St Anne's. They've got courses specifically on personal and social needs. They even do an internship for kids with. They're called Education, Health and Care Plans, I believe they are. That's the document that you have that basically outlines your child's needs. So if you've got one of those, they can do this course, and ultimately it's to place your child with a local employer, doing work experience and hopefully getting a job at the end of it. So it's really good that there's links from your primary, your secondary, into your further education, and then ultimately into employment, So it's not the thing that I was always worried about was, is it going to be he turned 16 and everyone goes, okay, he's not a child anymore?
Yes. That was going to be my next question, to be fair.
Yeah.
What happens next? Because we've spoken a lot about, neurodiversity in the workspace.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's not catered for.
Yeah.
Is it? There is some organisations, but you can be in a situation where it's not catered for without people understanding. It's almost like you have to do it all again in a new world. But so he's going to go to college. We think the same support system will be in place for him all the way through.
Yeah.
He's obviously into his maths, doing other stuff. But where's the cut-off point? Where is it? Where all of a sudden it's like, because you've experienced this. Yeah. You're now out in the world on your own. Does that happen? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, in terms of the setup currently, the way the councils tend to operate is on a 0 to 25 years basis. So with the support obviously changing as needs over that time. So I mean, certainly my hope is that by that time he's living by himself, whether he's completely independent or whether it's possibly some kind of supported living environment, but it may well be. And again, councils are doing great jobs in terms of building sort of custom developments for people who maybe have those some kind of additional needs, and so they can live independently, but there is support there if and when they need it. So yeah, it's I'm always slightly cautious about this, but I'm hopeful that there is a direction, and thanks to the work that the schools have done for Eden, that there's an end game there, which is going to be him happy, living a life, getting out there, getting into all kinds of mistakes like we would when we were in our early 20s. And it's hopefully good for him. I think also the support outside of school has improved, to be fair. So I currently live in the East Riding, as we were talking earlier. It used to be that through the summer holidays there wasn't really anything that Eden could access. So you think, no doubt you probably got sent off to summer clubs for footballing and all that kind of good stuff. There just wasn't really anything there for Eden. So it was, okay, suddenly you've got 6 weeks as a parent to try and fill with suitable activities, and you do your best, of course you do. But now, so that we get... The council puts on a whole programme of different activities with local providers, and you get to basically choose which ones you want your child to access. So Eden absolutely loves kayaking, so he'll be going to Welton Waters 2 or 3 times over the summer holidays to do kayaking. There's like an activity day at Raywell he'll be going to. So there's the point being, there's a whole range of different things that you can access. So it definitely has improved.
Yeah. Do you remember? Do you know what's interesting? I don't remember any of these opportunities back in the day. I mean, it was back in the day, but I just don't. And it's support networks, getting into work. How many people we've spoke to now, and how much support is there now from all schools and 6-week holidays, leaving school?
There's a lot. There is. I still think there's probably more to do, but I think from maybe there was the support work back then though. It just wasn't. It maybe wasn't dialogued as easily or effectively that they've got like social platforms and these sort of things. There's no podcast to talk about, was there, back then? Sort of thing. So
there was nothing like this.
Nothing, exactly.
On YouTube. Yeah. We love YouTube, don't we?
But it's sort of like and it was very much career advice. You went to the school library, or
that was it.
That was the norm. It just seemed to be whatever school you went to, that was the hub for where you went to, or careers. Library.
Yeah, because you've experienced your world through education. You've experienced Eden's through. It must be night and day.
Yeah.
But what else could we be doing? Are we doing enough now, or is there still way more that can be done?
I think there's definitely more of a. We're taking a direction which is positive, but we're not at the end game yet, definitely. So, I mean, for myself, so I work at East Riding Council, as I mentioned. The council runs a disability and neurodiversity forum, which I'm part of, and that's a great space for people, again, with all kinds of different needs, some physical, some neurodiverse, for us to basically share our challenges, discuss ideas, and it's basically just a safe space for us to talk about whatever we want, really. And again, thinking back to like when I was 21, you didn't have any kind of social networks like Facebook. You didn't have these sort of forums at work, so if you felt different, you were by yourself, or you felt like you were by yourself. So I think it's really good that you've got these sort of support groups coming and being visible now, so that you've got a place to go if you need them. I don't think we're there at the end. I think, there's a lot of talk currently about how, the diagnoses of autism and ADHD, etc., have increased. And I strongly believe that is simply because we're more aware of them now. And I think in times gone by, you would have just gone,
nothing's changed.
They're a bit weird, and actually they're not a bit weird. They're autistic, or they're not very good at reading. Well, that's maybe because that's the way they're dyslexic. And so I think that's why diagnoses are going up. I think over time we're going to recognise that there's more sort of facets to these conditions. So if you taking autism, so you've got social aspects in terms of interaction. You might have issues with texture. I don't particularly, but I'm one of my friends who is autistic. They do.
When you say texture, like
so
feeling of something, right? Okay.
So it might be I don't like the feel of those socks, or I don't like, So you get to I won't. And it's funny. I'm saying this on one hand, I have a favourite spoon, So, in my kitchen drawer.
So do I.
We've all got a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In my kitchen drawer, I've got all kinds of different shaped spoons. There's one shape I prefer to all the others.
Is it a small one or is it a big one?
It's a big spoon.
Always,
and it's got a nice long slim handle. So it fits in the dishwasher really easily.
So you're already thinking about the end game. You see, I'm just thinking about the first.
I'm already there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
we laugh, but it's like it's
not.
It's not laughing, but it's just laughing at the scenario.
Absolutely.
It's like,
absolutely. And it is funny. I'm quite happy to recognise and laugh at it. But you people have got all these sorts of
traits, aren't they? Really,
absolutely traits. And I think over time we'll recognise that autism may well become like the umbrella, or I guess a spectrum.
Yeah.
But then there are elements within that. And as we understand better what those elements are, then we'll be able to target people's support better. So I think
So we're not there yet. You don't think?
I don't think so.
Humans
are complex.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and it's like I said, the word spectrum used as a derogatory, really. But it is that. It purely is. It's just there's so many like different variations or sort of adaptations of like people's traits, as we'll call them.
Yeah,
it's one. Yeah, it's when he says about this, our favourite spoon. That's
he's going to go in. I will go.
But it's like but the things you do, it's like in football, similar terms. I like to kick a ball a certain way, or if I'm taking a shot, I won't just like launch it. I'll try and do a finesse shot or something, just because. Do you know what I mean? But that's what triggers you do it, and it's just.
Yeah. I guess with what SEND schools have done well then is they've given a
honed
safe space for those that can't focus in mainstream, but you can see where this goes. Then there can be establishments for people that have got a certain way of dealing with things.
As like coaching goes and leadership and sort of mentoring, we've gone from generations of going like, oh, you need to work on your things you're rubbish at.
Yeah.
You need to level up.
Yeah.
You're not good at that, should that? Whereas like now it should be like, let's not focus too much. Let's focus on what you're doing good.
Yes.
Let's do the good stuff. And I think that's how I sort of visualise how they sort of like try to implement the good stuff that's really important to the individual. Whereas I suppose mainstream just is always, maybe not so much anymore, but you're always focused on like, oh well, you only are seeing that, you need to level up in your geography. You're out the equation.
You're absolutely right though. At least that's what Eden's working on now. The school, I'm guessing they are
maximising that.
They're looking at his numbers. They're looking at his media that he loves doing, and going, let's double down on that.
Yeah.
Let's not have him trying to, draw a map.
Yeah.
Thing is,
you're right.
Look at I was an A star. Drama.
Yeah.
Which means
I can believe it.
You can believe
it.
Which means but I was terrible at geography and other stuff. But what it was telling us then is that I was just great with people and being around people and being a bit of a,
clown.
Not a class clown. I hear that, but it's true. But that was never picked up in school. I was just bad in these areas, and nothing ever. Well, no, it's not nothing ever came from this, but I've lived to my strengths now, and I know that. But I think that what the question was is what more we can improve on. It's going back to what I was saying. You open a can of worms of where this can go. Like we're not going to have enough teachers to be able to teach people all this stuff.
Absolutely. I think, and again, this is coming in so much better now. It's also giving people the confidence to be open about who they are. So and certainly when I first started at work, it felt like you were expected to conform. This is your job. This is what you do. You don't do this. You don't do that. I remember once. So we all wear an ID badge. One time, I was doing a big presentation. My ID badge was the wrong way round, and someone came up and flipped it round and told me off. That's a level of stuff. I was fast forward to literally yesterday. So yesterday, I was doing a introduction to project management course for a team. So I'm there, jeans, shirt, but lot more relaxed. Everyone's in that sort of in that attire, and I'm saying to them, one, I am autistic. I like to monologue. I will not always pick up on non-verbal cues. If you don't agree with anything I'm saying, if you want more information on anything I'm saying, ask. The number one thing for me here is that you say to me, if you think what I'm saying is nonsense, tell me, and then we can talk about it. And it might be nonsense. Just because I'm stood at the front with a projector doesn't mean that I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I think people get into that place where they're able to be confident and say, I've got ADHD, I've got autism, that means I'm not very good at this, or I'm really good at that. Helps to help us to understand one another and make allowances for one another.
Yeah.
That
totally.
One thing I know time-wise, it's ticking away, but it's what's from your role at the moment in your hub?
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. What sort of advancements are they making in? Because obviously you're in procurement, aren't you? And the whole obviously the new Procurement Act has come into play. What sort of way forward have they looked to try and not appease, that's not the word, but try to implement to understand neurodiversity a bit more and apply that into the procurement sort of updates?
That's a great question, because Mike's right. This has to be
your
world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
100%.
It's creme de la creme.
And literally, sort of 2 hours ago, I was having a Teams meeting on this. So, going back to the start almost, in terms of we recognise the construction, it can be a very high pressure environment. It attracts a lot of neurodiverse individuals who have maybe struggled to get to work in other sectors, because if there's one thing that construction is bad at, it's actually selling itself and showing how great a place it is to work. So neurodiversity and mental health are big issues. So in terms of your hub, we've been doing a lot of work with Loughborough University to undertake research into the measures the clients can take to support the mental health of the workers down the supply chain. Because again, and yes, I work in construction, I am very much white collar. I can just about rewire a plug. That's my limit when it comes to construction. I am not the person that you want building you a house. Not without a lot of other people who know a lot more how to do it. But what we do recognise is that there are pressures that the client naturally applies down the supply chain, and construction is a fragmented industry. You have hundreds of different firms working on any project. The pressure that the client can apply, sometimes unknowingly, then really can affect people's mental health, and especially for neurodiverse individuals. So we are doing research, and so we're on the learning process as many organisations are, but we'd like to think we are actively trying to look at what are the possible solutions that we can apply to support the individuals, because again, as much as it's a high pressure industry, everyone needs their building open on time, on budget, all that good stuff. We don't want to do it at the risk of hurting another person. So we need to see how, as clients, we can support the individuals who are doing what we need for us.
I think what's nice is that you've lived it. Your son is in that same zone, which means you can build it for the next generation. You understand it.
Yeah.
And if your organisation isn't equipped to accommodate, that was the word we were looking for, then you've got work to do, and you're probably the best position to do that. Not just in the frameworks that you build, but in the actual business that you're in. Yeah. And you can now see everything that you've struggled with to go, well, how do we accommodate Eden if he wanted to come in here? We've got that too. And I think you'll do some. You're one of the most. And there's a lot of people who talk openly about it, but I love the fact that you do speak so openly about it, because that's how other people can learn.
Yeah.
You know, and we honestly really appreciate it, speaking so openly about you and Eden and everything like that. But it's how we learn. Because if you don't say anything,
absolutely, and I mean, sort of, you know, just to kind of round things off, you know, I mean, that I'm very active on LinkedIn. You know, anyone and I have had people just out of the blue just message me and say, you know, I don't know you don't know me, but, you know, I've got this condition, or I'm going through this situation. People want to have those kind of conversations or drop me a message. I'm always happy to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Dan, you and me work on the Yorkshire and Humber Country Connections Club, which attached to that is the Generation for Change. So those two groups put on a range of sort of not just best practice events, but also, you know, events to try and support the local industry. And, you know, whether you're, you know, the new entrants go to the G4C, those who are a bit more experienced like you and me, well, me anyway, you know, when you hit your 40s, then, you know. You know, there's, again, the places that people can go and meet and talk about challenges, which is really important.
It absolutely is. It really is. But yeah, I've loved it. It's been really interesting, really inspiring, and this is what this entire podcast is about. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah,
very happy to. Thank you for having me.
No worries.